To look at creating an explosion. So the first thing I do is I create a sprite for a trigger that's going to ignite the dynamite. So I got a sprite for dynamite, and I'm going to get a sprite for the explosion, and I want to load the explosion. I click the edit sprite because I want to create it from a strip. I can't remember if we've done strips before, but let me show you how this works. I select create from strip when I go to the editor, and then I open up the resources here, and it says explosion strip. There's 16 images PNG, and so I say OK, and I say there was 16 images. It looks like they're all on one row, so 16 images per row, and then I need to size it so each image, and it's a large image, isn't it? The dimensions are actually 96 by 96, and unfortunately you just have to play with the numbers to find that out. And I press OK, and so there it goes. It divides that single strip of the animation into a series, and it looks like this. Quite a nice explosion animation. So that's how we create a sprite that comes from a strip. So I just click the button Edit, and then from Edit, I go File and Create from Strip. Okay, next thing, we need to make some objects here. So I'm going to quickly make an object for each of those. The first object will be called Object Trigger, and I'll use the trigger sprite. The next object is going to be the explosion. And I'll use the explosion sprite, which is that lovely animation. And then the last one is going to be the dynamite. And I'll use the dynamite sprite. Now, the dynamite is kind of interesting. The dynamite is simply a placeholder. So I'm going to go to my room already, and I'm going to put some dynamite in this room. And because I'm just doing a tester, what I'm going to do is I'll put a couple sticks of dynamite in the room. So I'll stick one here just to demonstrate. And then I need to make a couple things happen. So the dynamite just simply holds where the explosion is going to go to. So, for example, I've got one stick of dynamite right here, and when I tell it the dynamite to explode, it's going to make the explosion object appear here, and it's going to destroy everything around in this area, around relative to this stick of dynamite. And it will do the same for every stick of dynamite because we're going to tell the dynamites to turn into explosions. Okay, let's take a look at the trigger object. What do we need to do for the trigger object? Well, the trigger is going to have a collision with the person. Well, really it's the other way around. The person is going to collide with the trigger, but you see the effect here. So when the trigger collides with a person, what I want to do is I want to play a sound effect of the explosion sound that I loaded up. The next thing I want to do is I want to change object dynamite. So all those dynamites I had, I want to change those into explosions. And yes, I want to perform the events of the explosion. So dynamites are going to change into explosions. Finally, once I run into a trigger, we no longer need to see the trigger anymore because the trigger is useless. So I will destroy the trigger. It doesn't really matter if we do that or not, but you can no longer trigger dynamite because you blew everything up. So there's no point in having the trigger around anymore. So that's what we do for the trigger. Okay, for the explosion, this is really where the hard work comes in, and it's a little bit tricky. What I want to do with the explosion is in the animation end event, so I go to Other, and there's something called animation end. So once the explosion, it's 16 frames, and it'll take about half a second to play the animation. And then once that little flame animation is gone, what I want to do is I want to use this destroy at position, which looks like dynamite, and I want to destroy relative to where I am. I want to destroy at a position. But there's a slight problem here. If I do this, this will destroy the explosion. So I don't want to destroy just at this place. I want to destroy what was at this place. So how do we do that? So watch this tricky move that makes it so the explosion doesn't destroy the explosion that's already there. Here's what I do. When the animation ends happens, the first thing I want to do is I'm going to go -1000 pixels relative to where I was away. That's going to be off the screen. So I want to move this object outside of the room, completely outside of the room, off the screen. The reason why is because I want to then destroy relative to where I am at 1000 pixels and 1000 pixels for X. So I want to destroy everything that is away. So let me show you, I drew a picture here. And so imagine that X is where the explosion was. I would destroy everything in that area. But before I do that, if I was located there, I would destroy myself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'll jump -1000X off the screen and -1000Y. So now we're completely off the screen. So for X and Y positions, we're -1000. So we're quite far away. And we're going to jump away. And so what we do is when we destroy things, we're going to destroy everything that's located there. But I want to also destroy everything that is located to the left of it. So I'm going to need to destroy everything to the left. Well, if I go to the left, it would be 1000 minus 32. So I go here to do another destroy at position, and I'll select destroy at position. And this time I do 1000 relative, but take away 32 because I want it to destroy to the left. And the same y coordinate, which is 1000. And I'm going to do the same to go to the left. But if I go to the left, or sorry, to the right, I would add 32. And so by adding 32, what I would do is I would then destroy positive 32. So this would be 1000 plus 32. So if this position here is 1000, 1000, this would be 1000 plus 32, so to the right. Then I want to start doing above. So if I want to do above, what I would do is I want to go up. So this is the Y position would be 32 less if I go up. It would be 32 plus if I go down. So sure, let's do down. How about? So if I want to go 1000 plus 32 for the Y this time. So I'm going to destroy at position, 1000 relative, but I want to add 32 more to the Y. And then I need to do the same thing for the X, 1000 minus 32 at that same position, 1000 plus 32 for the Y. Relative. And don't forget to put the relative. And then I want to do the same thing of 1000 plus 32 and the Y, of course, at 1000 plus 32. So now I've destroyed everything one row below. Finally, I'm going to do the top row. And to do the top row, so I've destroyed here, and then I destroyed here. What I want to do, I want to do the top row, so I want to move X minus 32. Sorry, Y minus 32. And so what I'm going to do is the Y position is going to be 1000 minus 32 relative, and I'll do X at 1000. I'll do X at 1000 plus 32 at the Y minus 32 position relative. And then finally, the last one I destroy is going to be at both x and y at being minus 32. Then finally, I'm going to get my object, I don't really have to do this, to jump back to its position. So I add it to be 1,000, 1,000 relative. And then we're done. And then finally, what I would do is destroy myself. And that's it. It's that simple. So there you go. You have a, let's play it and just see that it works. And this should hopefully, did I put a trigger in the room? Oops, I don't think I put a trigger in the room. Can't remember, did I? No. Won't work without a trigger. So what I need to do is add a trigger. Let's put the trigger nice and easy to get to, just for tester. And then I'm going to make it so it makes sense that I've got an explosion and I might want to get somewhere to blow up a wall so I can go through something that might be kind of hard to get at. And there you go. Blew everything up.